The night they left, the world didn't end. It just became painfully still. You stood there in the ruins of what used to be belonging, surrounded by echoes of voices that swore they'd never disappear. The air felt heavier, not from loss, but from the sudden awareness that no one was coming back. It's strange how betrayal doesn't make a sound when it happens. It just rearranges the silence around you until even breathing feels intrusive. And yet, in that unbearable quiet, something ancient inside you began to stir. The part that has always known that solitude isn't emptiness, it's the birthplace of power. You look around and realize that every illusion has finally fallen away. The masks, the smiles, the small talk drenched in hidden envy all gone. What's left is raw and unfiltered. The truth stands naked before you, and it's not kind, but there's clarity in cruelty. You start to see the architecture of deceit, how people mirror what you give, how loyalty is a costume worn until it's no longer convenient. You remember every time you bent yourself to fit into rooms that couldn't hold your depth, every time you handed out your fire to those who feared warmth. That era ends tonight. You can almost hear it, the faint hum beneath the silence, like the earth itself inhaling before it speaks your name. This isn't weakness. This is incubation. Isolation becomes your forge. You sit in it unblinking, letting the discomfort carve you into something sharper. You study your reflection in the dark window, not out of vanity, but recognition. You see the cracks where your soul leaked out trying to save others, and for the first time, you stop apologizing for wanting peace. The world mistook your gentleness for naivety. They thought they broke you. What they really did was unmask you. You start to notice the details others miss, the way silence can whisper more truth than words ever could. The way stillness, once feared, starts to feel like control. You're not scrambling for validation anymore. You're analyzing patterns, decoding intentions, cataloging betrayals not to hate them, but to understand them. Every wound becomes data. Every loss becomes leverage. You begin to sense the shift. Your emotions are no longer liabilities, they're sensors. You're not seeking revenge. You're gathering intelligence. The chaos that used to consume you now obeys your command. Outside, life continues. Shallow laughter, loud opinions, people mistaking noise for confidence. But you're not part of that theater anymore. You've learned that real power doesn't announce itself. It waits, it watches, it calculates. The silence they left you with has turned into armor, wrapping around your spirit like a black cloak. You no longer crave to be understood. You crave precision. You crave truth. Even your pain has rhythm now, slow, deliberate, prophetic. It reminds you that endurance is not passive, it's warfare conducted in silence. You stand alone, but it doesn't feel lonely anymore. The air bends differently around you now, thicker, charged. The universe recognizes something it once buried in you, command. You are not a victim of abandonment, you are the evidence of evolution. You have become the calm before every storm, the eye that sees through deception, the silence that unsettles the loud. And when they finally return, searching for the version of you they left behind, they won't find it. Because that version died quietly the night the silence began to hum. You start seeing things differently when everyone is gone. The air feels heavier, not because you're weak, but because silence finally has room to speak. You sit where they left you, surrounded by ghosts of their laughter, their promises, their fingerprints on your back where they once pretended to push you forward. Every betrayal replays in your mind like static on an old tape, but this time you don't flinch. You study it, you replay it slower. You watch the exact second when loyalty died, when the eyes that once looked at you with warmth started measuring what they could take before leaving. You begin to notice patterns, not just in them, but in yourself, how you kept choosing people who spoke like home, but felt like danger, how you mistook manipulation for care, noise for connection, and chaos for love. You start cataloging their exits, the excuses, the timing, the silence that followed each departure. You realize abandonment isn't just about people walking away. It's about the moment you stop chasing footsteps and start tracing shadows. You see how every absence carved something out of you, but also how each cut revealed structure beneath the softness. Pain becomes architectural. You begin to see the blueprint of your own strength, drafted from everything that tried to collapse you. You were not being destroyed, you were being refined. Every time someone left, the illusion of safety burned away, revealing something sharper, colder, more precise. At night, the memories return like soldiers. But this time, you are not their captive. You're their commander. You decide which ones stay, which ones you'll interrogate, which ones you'll bury. There's a strange power in rewatching your own downfall and feeling no panic, only understanding. The version of you that once begged to be chosen is gone. Now, you analyze faces like battlefields. You read the tension between words. You see how people reveal themselves not in their declarations, but in their pauses. It's as if you've been gifted new eyes forged from loss. You no longer fear betrayal. You expect it, anticipate it, use it as data. There's a moment when you realize solitude isn't a sentence, it's surveillance. You're no longer trapped outside the circle, you're observing it from above. You see how desperately people cling to validation, how they trade integrity for belonging. You used to envy that warmth. Now it looks like weakness. You start operating in silence, moving without announcing, thinking without revealing. Every choice becomes surgical deliberate. You let them underestimate you. It's part of the design. What they perceive as withdrawal is actually calibration. They can't read you anymore, and that unsettles them. You've turned your isolation into intelligence. You start noticing subtle shifts inside yourself. The fear of being forgotten fades. The craving for approval dissolves. You're not trying to prove your worth to anyone anymore. You're building a fortress made of what they abandoned. You realize that power doesn't scream for recognition. It studies, waits, and moves when the noise dies. You no longer mourn the absence, you weaponize it. You wear it like armor, invisible yet unbreakable. There's something sacred about this transformation, something almost ancient, like the silence of temples built after empires fell. One day, you catch yourself smiling, not from happiness, but from awareness. You finally understand the quiet confidence of those who've lost everything and still stand tall. The world mistook your silence for defeat, but it was reconstruction. What was taken from you didn't vanish, it evolved. Every lie became a lesson. Every wound became a map. You walk differently now, not with pride, but with precision. You've learned the most dangerous truth of all. When they left, they didn't take your power. They revealed where it was hidden. The mirror waits in silence, not the kind that comforts, but the kind that exposes. You stand before it with eyes that have seen too much and a heartbeat that no longer tremble. The reflection doesn't lie, but it doesn't comfort either. It asks questions no one dared to ask. Who are you when no one is watching? What remains when validation rots away? You search for the person you used to be, the one who smiled too quickly, forgave too easily, trusted too soon. But that version is gone, erased by every betrayal that taught you to read people like Wu. The mirror doesn't show your face anymore. It shows your evolution. There was a time when you mistook kindness for safety. You thought empathy could fix deception, thought understanding could silence cruelty. You carried others' burdens like trophy, thinking pain shared was pain lessened. But the truth was older, colder. Not everyone bleeds when you do. Some people drink your blood and call it love. That realization didn't make you bitter. It made you precise. The mirror sees that now. The sharpened edges where softness used to live, the eyes that no longer beg to be seen. You have learned that survival isn't beauty, it's design. Your reflection begins to shift. The light flickers, and for a moment, you see all your past selves standing behind you. The naive one, the hopeful one, the one that stayed when they should have walked away. They look at you like ghosts begging to be buried. And you understand to move forward you must kill who you were. So you whisper their names one by one and let the silence consume them. Each surrender becomes a weapon. Each scar becomes scripture. You don't need forgiveness, only focus. You realize that strength was never built in noise, it was forged in quiet defiance. The mirror no longer judges, it kneels, because it recognizes what it's reflecting. Someone who walked through fire without asking for applause. Someone who lost everything false to find something real. You don't crave love anymore, you crave alignment. You no longer chase peace, you are the peace that unsettles others. And as the final flicker fades, the glass doesn't show a face at all, just darkness shaped like control. The kind of control that frightens those who live on chaos. You turn away not because you're done looking, but because you've seen enough. The world doesn't need to know what was born in that mirror. It will feel it. You stop explaining yourself. Words have become useless currency in a world that trades only in perception. You've learned that power isn't in defending your name. It's in letting others choke on their own assumption. They still whisper that you've fallen. They still think you're wounded. But that's because you've stopped showing them the battlefield. You've taken the war underground, inside you, where every thought, every silence, every glance is part of a strategy they'll never understand. You move differently now, calculated, patient. The old version of you fought for fairness, begged for understanding. But fairness was their weapon, a leash disguised as virtue. You don't seek justice anymore, you seek advantage. You've become fluent in the language of control. You let them speak first. You let them reveal their hands. And when they think they've read you, you change the rules. You learn that chaos can be commanded if you stop needing peace. People mistake your calm for surrender, but it's reconnaissance. You observe like an ancient general studying the wind before the arrow flies. Every betrayal that once broke you now feeds your tactic. You remember how they smiled when they left, how they laughed when you stumbled. That memory burns quietly in your chest, not as hate but as data. They thought you were healing. You were recalibrating. Each scar became a signal, a code in a system you no longer need to explain. You've become invisible in plain sight. The crowd still looks for loud victories, for trophies, for noise. You've learned the opposite, that silence is the most effective disguise. They can't destroy what they can't locate. You operate in whispers now, move through rooms like smoke, unreadable and untouchable. The weak need validation to feel alive. You've discovered a higher currency, invisibility, and yet, even unseen, your presence commands. When you enter, the air changes. Not because of what you say, but because of what you no longer need to prove. They sense the discipline, the restraint, the quiet violence of someone who has already died once and returned wiser. You don't chase power anymore, you embody it. The hidden war never ends, but you've stopped fighting for survival. You're fighting for precision. You stand alone, yes, but behind you stands something greater, the army of everything you've endured in silence. They don't understand what changed. You walk into the same rooms that once swallowed your presence whole, and now the air bends around you. People lower their voices when you pass, as if your silence itself could hear. Once you filled these spaces with words, trying to prove your worth, trying to belong. Now you say nothing, and somehow that speaks louder. There's a stillness in your eyes that unsettles those who used to pity you. They can't tell if it's peace or power, but either way, they sense it's something they no longer possess. The betrayal that once shattered you has become your architecture. Every fracture hardened into structure. Every disappointment, a layer of armor that doesn't shine. It absorbs light. You've stopped seeking understanding because you've realized that clarity doesn't come from others. It comes from silence, from observation, from the discipline of watching the world without needing to interfere. You stand straighter now, but not in defiance. You stand as if gravity itself has learned to respect you. The same gravity that once pulled you to your knees now holds its breath in your presence. You've become unreadable. That's what unnerves them most. They used to know which words could wound you, which names could make you doubt yourself. But that language no longer works. You deleted it from your emotional vocabulary. Your eyes are no longer mirrors. They're gates closed to those who never earned entry. The chaos that once lived inside you now moves behind you like invisible soldiers awaiting command. You no longer chase closure, you create it by existing. Every movement, every silence, every unspoken thought is calculated, not for revenge, but for control. You learn that the most dangerous power is the power that doesn't announce itself. They whisper about you now. They call it luck, change, mystery. But you know better. This isn't transformation, it's revelation. What they see is who you were before the noise buried you. What they fear is the quiet you found in your own mind. You walk through a world that once broke you, and it feels smaller now, almost fragile. Their judgment, their absence, their applause, it all weighs the same. Nothing. You've outgrown the battlefield by mastering its rules. You look alone, but they can feel it. The presence that follows you like thunder after lightning. You are one, yet you move like many. They start whispering your name again. The same mouths that once called you irrelevant now shape your story with fear. You notice it in the glances, in the subtle silence when you enter a room, a tension too heavy to hide. They can't explain it, but they feel it. Something about you changed. You no longer move like prey. There's precision in your stillness, and that terrifies those who mistake noise for strength. Once, you begged to be understood. Now, you watch in quiet amusement as they invent legends to fill the space your words used to occupy. Your absence has become architecture. Every step you don't take echoes louder than their entire parade of validation. The shadows begin to gather, not to harm you, but to study you. They wonder who stands behind you, who feeds your composure, who trained you to hold silence like a blade. But you know the truth, there is no army, just the ghost of every moment you refused to break. Every betrayal became a soldier, every sleepless night a strategist, every disappointment a new discipline waiting for command. What they sense behind you is not protection. It's presence, the concentrated energy of someone who has been through every hell and learned to smile in the smoke. They try to test you again, small provocations dressed as conversation. But your responses are surgical, measured, minimal, lethal. You don't defend yourself anymore. You let their guilt do the talking. Their laughter fades faster now, as if even sound doesn't want to linger around your calm. They realize too late that solitude didn't make you soft, it made you sovereign. You've become something they can't categorize, too quiet to mock, too focused to manipulate. The ones who betrayed you are haunted by the same question. How did you rise without help? You don't answer, you don't need to. Power, after all, doesn't announce itself. It's felt like pressure before a storm. The air changes when you pass, carrying the weight of everything you survive. You've become a myth they can't rewrite. And while they circle, speculating, the truth remains untouched. Your strength was never built in the crowd, but in the exile. You stood in the ruins, and the ruins learned to obey. Now, even the shadows hesitate to move without your permission. They look at you differently now. The same eyes that once dismissed you, that once found comfort in your silence, now hesitate to meet it. They sense it before they understand it, that something in you no longer bends. You stand before them without a word, yet your stillness feels louder than every accusation they ever threw at you. They shift in their seats, uncertain if they're witnessing your rise or their own exposure. And in that quiet tension, you see it, the guilt, the envy, the faint tremor of recognition, not of who you were, but of what you've become. You remember the nights they left you in ruins, the whisper, the betrayal disguised as advice. You carried their doubts like stones in your chest, building walls around wounds that no one saw. But those walls became your fortress. Your exile became evolution. While they fed on attention, you fed on silence. You sharpened it. You learned that solitude is not the absence of support. It's the purification of influence. Every scar they gave you became a sigil, carved deep into the armor of your restraint. They see that now. They feel the difference even if they can't name it. They try to speak, to explain, to reclaim their innocence. But the words collapse under the weight of your calm. You've become everything they feared untouchable. Your silence no longer begs to be understood. It commands understanding you used to crave closure. Now you recognize it as another form of dependence. So you stand there, unarmed yet invincible, and watch them drown in their own noise. The balance of power has shifted without a single strike. You didn't destroy them. You simply stopped participating in their illusion. The air grows heavy, like the moment before a storm breaks. You can feel their shame, their confusion, their quiet regret for underestimating. They stare at you as though trying to locate the army behind your eyes. But there is none, only discipline. Only the ghost of every version of yourself that refused to die when they tried to bury you. You've become a reflection they can't face, a reminder that power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it simply endures. You turn to leave, and in that single motion, every unspoken apology follows you. They finally understand you didn't need to be saved. You only needed to be seen. You never wanted power. You wanted peace, but peace, you learned, is only granted to those strong enough to command it. There was a time when you begged for understanding, when your silence was mistaken for weakness, when every word you swallowed turned into a scar. You remember standing in that place of ruin, when every alley vanished, every promise collapsed, and realizing no one was coming to save you. That was the night you stopped waiting. That was the night you became your own army. You trained your mind to move like a blade in the dark, sharp, unseen, patient. Every betrayal became a study in human nature. Every loss, a lesson in leverage. You stopped shouting for recognition and started speaking in actions, in decisions that needed no defense. Your wounds closed not with comfort, but with calculation. You began to understand that the loudest force in any room is not the one who speaks, but the one who doesn't need to. That's when they started watching you differently, not as a survivor, but as something far more dangerous. They wondered who guided you, who stood behind you. They whispered that no one walks through that much fire and comes out breathing this calm. But you knew the truth. Your army was invisible because it was made of everything they could never see: discipline, restraint, awareness, pain refined into perception. While others sought followers, you built silence. While they flaunted victories, you built patience. And in that stillness, you became untouchable. Now when you walk, the air shifts. Not because you carry weapons, but because you carry memory. You have mastered what most fear: the art of appearing alone while being backed by every version of yourself that refused to die. The child who trusted, the friend who forgave, the warrior who stayed. They all march behind you now, silent but present, shadows turned into soldiers. Every step you take echoes with what they tried to bury: your clarity, your control, your refusal to break. And so when they see you now, they mistake your calm for divine backing. They're not wrong, because divinity is nothing more than surviving what should have ended you. You don't seek revenge anymore. You've outgrown the need to prove. Power no longer tempts you. It obeys you. You stood alone, yes, but somewhere between pain and purpose, the universe saluted and fell in line behind you.